it turns out that in some areas of the world, the pandemic must be over. In fact, it must be just almost ready to return back to normal, because a certain state in America has decided it's time to fling the doors open.
Back to our top story today and the big talker this week. A week from today on March the 10th, Texans will no longer be required to wear masks, and all businesses in the state can go ahead and open back up to 100%. So that lifting the mask mandate in particular doesn't necessarily jibe with what a lot of health professionals are saying right now. So we're asking, do you agree with the governor's decision to end the statewide mask mandate and reopen businesses to full capacity? We've had thousands of you weigh in this morning, more than 4,000 already. Keep weighing in. Let us know what you think. WFA.com/vote now is another option. So we are exploring this story from a lot of different angles because it does impact everybody. Starting with health and wellness reporter this morning, Sonia Azad. Hey, Sonia, good to see you.
Hey, good morning. Woo, look at that poll. Okay, listen up, you guys. Look, the community of scientists, researchers, doctors, experts in the field of virology, epidemiology, infectious disease are all reacting to Governor Greg Abbott's announcement to open Texas. Look, I spoke with Dr. Julie Morita, and she served on President Biden's COVID advisory team during his transition to office. She's a former commissioner of public health, and she worked for the CDC. So I said, look, Dr. Morita, what do you think of this move? Here's what she had to say.
I was disappointed to hear that this decision was made, because I think from a public health perspective, we like to base recommendations and interventions on the science that's available. And this is different. We are now over a year into this pandemic, and we have a lot of evidence and we have a lot of science that demonstrates the effectiveness of wearing masks, of the keeping distance, of not being in crowds together, and that we have good vaccines available. And this is all based on evidence we've acquired over the course of the past year. And to have that information and to disregard it seems irresponsible. And it's disappointing to see that happening.
Dr. Morita told me she hopes other governors across the country take science-based research into account when making their decisions. She added, while case numbers, hospitalizations, deaths have dropped, still not low enough to let our guard down. So when you go out to, let's say, grocery stores or restaurants, take the setting into consideration. You are at higher risk when you're indoors and when it's crowded and when other people around you are not wearing masks. So it's even more important for those of us who will continue to wear them to make sure you're doing so the right way.
Sonia, in his announcement, the governor said that he was reopening Texas 100%. That doesn't necessarily mean it will be, though, because ultimately the decision will still lie in the hands of the businesses and organizations. We started seeing these statements coming from those businesses shortly after the governor's announcement that the mask mandate will be lifted on March 10th. The grocery store chains, H-E-B, Central Market, Tom Thumb, Albertsons, all announced they're still going to require employees to wear masks, and they urge strongly that their customers do the same, though they aren't requiring it of their customers. Target, though, they still will require their customers to wear masks when they enter the store. We checked with some local malls, the Galleria and North Park. They said they're reviewing the order and will make a decision soon. So you'll still need to know the mask policy for whatever business you enter. In his announcement, Governor Abbott said Texans still need to practice good personal responsibility, and this move will give business owners the freedom to operate independently.
If businesses want to limit capacity or implement additional safety protocols, they have the right to do so. It is their business, and they get to choose to operate their business the way they want to. At this time, however, people and businesses don't need the state telling them how to operate.
So, first comment about this, before even getting into whether or not this is a wise decision, right? Because that's a bigger question, and we've got a guest coming up, and we're going to be having a chat with John Ashton in just a few minutes. And I can tell you that this is not what it's on face value, what it's supposed to be. He is not opening this up because he thinks Texas is ready. He's not opening up because he thinks the pandemic's over and the vaccine's doing its job. He's opening up because he's just cocked up and messed up everybody's lives all over the state of Texas. He's robbed them of food, housing, electricity through sheer boneheaded incompetence. Am I right?
So, I'm just thinking about this country as well. I'm lost at the moment still.
Yeah, but Texas, he decides now, just now, to open up now.
Will that gain him votes, though, next time they have an election?
Well, he's hoping that they'll forget about the freezing cold and everybody just being in a house. It was about 2 weeks some people were without electricity, without heating, without clothing, without they couldn't go shopping for clothes, for food, for anything. And all this time where we covered the last week's show, Ted Cruz decides to bugger off. I mean, please, any of you who are listening, any of our American viewers here, you can't possibly believe that the Republican Party and a Republican governor cares about you. These right-wing politicians right now do not care. They don't care. They see the pandemic as an interruption to the economic affairs of the country and an interruption to them getting re-elected.
But how they do it, like you just said, it's a diversion tactic. It's just, oh, look over there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do this.
We're opening up. Let's have a party. Oh, you're upset with, let's have a party. Come on, dude. Let's open up the cinemas. Let's open the bars up. It doesn't make sense that they didn't gradually do this. Even if they wanted to do it, gradually do it. They're getting rid of social distancing on the 10th. They're going from social distancing, mass mandate, to absolutely nothing in one day. And you already have a second curve over there that was catastrophic, to prove the stupidity of doing things rushed.
I think what's quite clear now is numbers don't matter. The whole, we get numb to it, don't you, about people dying. And you don't see the person or the family because it's just a number.
520,000 people dead, and everybody's just watching the counter on CNN or MSNBC or Fox. They're just watching this number slowly going up and fluctuating. And it is a number, but isn't it bizarre how 2,600 people in a skyscraper that collapses, 2 skyscrapers, 2,600 people, and it changed fundamentally the American way of life for the past 2 decades. 2,600 people, 520,000 people, over 500,000 Americans dead, and you can't even get them to wash their hands and wear a goddamn mask.
Although conspiracy theories were abound at the time, it's not to the level it is now. I think social media has pushed this to a level which is like, how can you actually get information across to people? So I understand it. I totally understand it. We just live in a crazy world where you don't know what to believe.
We had the beginnings of social media when 9/11 happened, but it wasn't like this.
Yeah,
it didn't.
How many times do you see footage of a missile going into to some building? I can't remember which building it was now. Or the third tower, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. It's full of it. But to the level it's at now, I've never known the world to be in a place where, I'll repeat myself, you don't know who to believe.
Well, you have to believe some people, and there are some people that are trying to do the best, and there's some people that are not, and I'm not convinced that our government has been doing its best from day one. I'm not convinced that the American government care about the people that voted them into power. I think that power is all that matters. We've just lived through a period where they've had an insurrection, and they're even now arguing that wasn't real. That there were people pretending to be Trump supporters that did it. You can't believe anybody because of all the false information, and the QAnon stuff is absolutely terrifying. And later on we'll cover some of that. I mean, because this is the big day today where Trump returns, and this is the sort of stupidity you're dealing with. But with this, with the pandemic now, I think that Texas reopening, to me, when I heard it, I could not believe my ears that they were going to just completely get rid of the mask mandate and open up like that. Thank you for watching. I'm impressed. You've passed the IQ test and got this far, so let's press that button to do the last thing that helps us. It's got subscribe on it, you can't miss it, and please ring the bell for notifications of future videos.